That way.
My background is pretty much an art background, probably like a lot of the students here. I had been going through a point in my life where I was very unhappy with what I was doing. Wanted to get back into game design, which has always kind of been a hobby of mine, passion. One of the issues that I was struggling with was having some funds to get some of the things that I needed to be where I was in a position to actually start making a game, one of which was some software, things like that. So basically, I probably like a lot of other people saw Double Fine's success, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, I can do this. So I had an idea of a game that I was working on for a while, and I'm like, well, why don't I take it to Kickstarter? Pretty simple game, so it's a mobile game. What's right now is just some mini games that are actually part of it, but the Kickstarter process, my Kickstarter, my goal was $8,000, and I came up with that just kind of, I made a list of what I wanted to accomplish, my goals for the project, what I would need to have as far as funding goes, and I came up with that number. And I was actually successful, so it's a good thing. And I finished my game, and I pretty much delivered everything that I said I would, which is kind of rare amongst Kickstarters. I think I've backed like 55 or 56 of them, and I've probably gotten maybe 4 or 5 of the rewards from the tiers that I've backed so far, since probably 2 years now of backing projects on there. So I mean, it was quite an experience. I had 241 backers. My final total of money that I raised was $9,000. And it's been just a pretty awesome experience overall. And one of the things that I am very happy about is my backers are happy with the project, the game that I made. So that was pretty awesome. Made what I said I was going to make. I did it. I was successful in raising the money, and I don't really want to talk too long. So there's going to be a lot of questions that we'll be able to address that stuff.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next we have Peter.
I'm Peter Sheff. I am an environment artist at the Amiable, and I created a game called Tetrapulse. This is a 2 to 4 player co-op game, and the interesting mechanic that we have is that your health is linked with your ammo. The game started at a global game jam, and then it was continued as a student project. I'm actually still a student at DePaul University. And then during the summer we formed a company, and we're still working on it now. And we started our Kickstarter over the summer too. So you guys can check out some of the gameplay here. And it's actually changed quite a lot since here, but this kind of gives you a basic feel of overall gameplay.
Thank you very much.
Know me as the dude behind Sinister design, working on a game called Telepath Tactics. I actually ran 2 Kickstarters for that one. First time I tried kickstarting it was back in December of 2012. We fell a little short on that one. We raised, it was something like 18,000 out of 25,500 that we were shooting for. And then I tried again in March of last year, and we ended up being 275% funded. We ended up raising a little over $41,000. So development on that's going really well. Obviously, I have a lot of thoughts based on my experience about what makes a Kickstarter work and what makes it not work. If you have like a pen and paper, you might want to write this down. How to not fail at Kickstarter in 12 easy steps. I wrote and posted an article about some of the stuff I learned. It's on indierpgs.com, which is a site I run. And basically, I'll just run down a few of those real fast. But you should read the article because it's actually pretty good if you want to know how to not fail a Kickstarter. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the term vertical slice. You want your game, obviously it's not going to be done when you're kickstarting it, right? But what you have there, you want to look as close to the finished product as possible, because A, it tells people exactly what they can expect when they back your game, and B, you just plain want your game to look good, right? You don't want to show them a bunch of placeholder art and have them be like, this looks terrible, why am I throwing money at this? So you want to do that. You want to make absolutely sure that your game is already playable, so you can show them gameplay footage. There are certain Kickstarters that can get away with not doing that. Like, I guess like the most recent example would be Unsung Story, right? The one by the guy that made Final Fantasy Tactics that's on Kickstarter right now. He can get away with just showing concept art because he made fucking Final Fantasy Tactics. Like, everyone knows this guy's legit. They don't know you yet, so you have to, show them the goods. You've got to have gameplay footage, and it has to look good, and it has to feel good. Like no floaty jumping, none of that. Like you have to have it tuned, have good game feel, and other stuff like that. There's a lot more I could talk about, but I guess those are like the two big things. Like if you have to take away anything from tonight, have your game actually playable, and make sure you show people what they can expect when they fund it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you didn't even try going for my last name.
Wiemyer? I'm playing it safe now.
Yeah. So I'm Ryan Wiemyer. I've run 2 successful Kickstarters. The first one was for a game called Oregon Trail. It's on a parody of Oregon Trail for like 2 years ago, I don't remember. We asked for $3,000 because we were expecting $6,000. And we got $16,000 or something like that. So we used all the extra money to like start a studio and like quit my job, which is, you shouldn't do that. But I did. And yeah, originally the money was just to buy Unity licenses for like a part-time gig, and now it's like my full-time thing. And then I ran my second Kickstarter for a game called Max Gentleman, and I have been studying Kickstarter a lot. Like I pretty much, you gotta admit, I called like pretty much everything that happened to your Kickstarter number-wise, both of them. So I was really in tune with how they work and what to do and what not to do. And then when Max Gentleman, I completely did something different, where we only asked for $500, even though I was actually expecting $10,000. And also, we're probably losing money on this Kickstarter. And it's because we ran that one more as a marketing push as opposed to raising funds, because we already have money. So it's like, well, how do you ask for money from people when they know that you just made money off your last game? So we tried something new and it worked out. And so yeah, those are 2 very unique experiences, but they raised about the same amount. The Max Gentleman raised $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. It's $12,000? Yeah. So that one was fun.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Next we have Dan.
Yeah, so I'm Dan Nikolaides, and do you want to do why don't you do that one for like a minute and I'll talk over it. You can turn the volume down. I'm from Phosphor Games, and we did a Kickstarter about a year ago for a project called Awaken, which has been a pet project of ours for like 5 years now. And being a pet project and being something that we've been shopping around to publishers and getting like a lot of no answers to, we thought, hey, let's go to Kickstarter, this brand new thing, and we'll get a ton of money, right? No, we didn't. Well, we kind of did, but we didn't meet our goal. So we asked for $500,000 and we got $365,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's actually $0 because they didn't give us anything, right? Because we failed. So I'm gonna try and weave a short story of mostly bad decisions here for you guys as to like why and how we failed. And the unfortunate thing for many of you is that this information is not going to be directly applicable to you, because there's kind of 2 different classes of Kickstarters, And to some degree, like all of these gentlemen here have been in the previous class, which is small indie games that are looking for just enough money to buy licenses and get over the hump, and guys who aren't necessarily drawing a salary from that money or paying employees from that money, but just kind of spending a little bit of money here and there to make a game, right? A small indie game. We have a studio, and we were going to have 20 people on this game for 6 months in 9 months until we had a prototype, and then try and expand it from there, right? So it's a very different problem, and that's why we needed so much more money. And when you're competing in that space, it turns out that you need some kind of a secret sauce, right, for your Kickstarter to be successful. And for a long time, we thought our secret sauce was that we have this really cool creative player game, and now you're just looking at Steve Bowler and Alan Cruz's talking faces. But we thought that our secret sauce was this concept, when in reality our secret sauce was that we can make this game which we thought could approximate the quality of like a BioShock or whatever, in our heads, for like a tenth of the cost of what those guys had to spend to do it. And the interesting thing is that nobody on Kickstarter cares that that's the case. That's actually important to publishers, but it's not at all important to the people who are Kickstartering your game, right? So if you're thinking to yourself, I think I can do something that's close to this for a lot less money, and I can just do it with a couple of my friends, that's cool, but you're raising the bar in terms of your expectation level from people, and they're going to expect that it's going to be BioShock. And if it's not BioShock in the videos that you give them, it's not going to fly. Nobody's going to pay for it, right? Beyond that, the other major mistake that we made was that we were a little bit schizophrenic in the way that we kind of put our information out there. And by that I mean we had this idea in our head of what this game was, but we communicated it very poorly through our Kickstarter and our videos. And you can tell just by, we have 4 videos up here. Here's our UE4 tech demo. I mean, what does this have at all in relation to the other video that we just posted? Like, are these the same game? Like, what's going on here, right? Like, if you want to show like the next video, actually the cool one would be, a good one to show would be the creative player prototype abilities. Yeah, so this is from our prototype, or our game that we're working on at Midway Games called Hero. And if you're imagine yourself looking at our Kickstarter and looking at these 3 different videos and thinking to yourself, what game are these guys working on? Like, what is this from? It wasn't very clearly, in our heads, we understood the whole history of it, right? We're thinking to ourselves, oh yeah, this is a prototype, and here's the game that we kind of prototyped earlier this year. It's like on a more modern engine, and we kind of want to switch to UE4. Nobody understood any of that, and this was just really muddling, and like like everyone was like, wait, so are you working on this, or is this old throwaway code, or what's going on? So basically, the takeaway is you have to really, really, really work hard on communicating your vision to people and have a reason why they care about it, right? You have to have that kernel of a great idea that's going to reach out and grab somebody, because people don't kickstart games unless you're Richard Garriott that everyone has already played, right? They're going to kickstart, if you're somebody that nobody's ever heard of, they're only going to kickstart your game if it's blowing their minds, right? And they're only going to do that if you're successful at conveying your mind-blowing vision via your Kickstarter page and videos to them. So it's really a full-time job, and it's a ton of work, so take it super seriously. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. Next we have Michael.
Hey, my name's Michael Mendheim, and I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I've worked at companies like Electronic Arts and Activision. I'm the creator of a game way back in the day called Mutant League Football, which was a game, very violent game, where creatures and monsters play the most violent game on Earth. So this game was a #1 hit, and it spawned a toy line and a television series. And after I had done this game, I went on to 3DO with Trip Hawkins, who started Electronic Arts, and I did a game called Battle Tanks, and we started the Army Men series, and then I went back to EA, where I worked at EA Chicago with Kudo and Charlie, and we were working on Def Jam Icon and Marvel. And now I'm working on a variety of different projects, and I do graphic novels as well. And I wanted to bring back Mutant League because I still have fans writing me every day going, why doesn't this game come back? And EA had abandoned the trademark about 12 years ago. So I got the trademark, and my exposure with Kickstarter, I talked to a lot of different people in the industry and people that had run Kickstarter campaigns, and did as much investigating as I could myself, obviously not enough. And we figured we put this video together with a bunch of really great talent, and it didn't cost us so much other than our sweat equity and really good creative. And we put it out, and we were trying to raise $750,000. And our Kickstarter failed. We raised about $140,000. We had no game demo, so like Ryan's telling you, you need a prototype game demo. I thought like the concept of Mutant League football was going to carry it, and it didn't. And we made numerous mistakes in terms of our strategy of how we were going to sell this. And one of the biggest mistakes was we went and tried to raise money first and foremost for mobile and then Xbox Live. And Kickstarter inherently is a very PC-centric type. The guys that back games, they are PC-centric. So it was just a complete disaster from day one. But we stuck there and we fought through it. And a lot of great things happened and a lot of great lessons were learned. And coming out of the Kickstarter campaign from the other end, what happened was I have a team of developers that are all huge Mutant League fans, and we are actually creating a game now. And we'll go back onto Kickstarter whenever the game's ready to show, which is probably going to be in the May timeframe. We'll go back to Kickstarter and ask again. And I feel like we could be successful the second time we go up there. But it was a really great experience, but very painful too.
Thank you very much. And if you ever watched that video with audio, it's on their Kickstarter page. It's pretty funny. It kills me. So thank you for everyone for introducing yourselves. Next up to introduce is the host for the evening is Rebecca Rothschild from Sugar Gamers.
All right.
I just thought, so I'm ready to go. So I'm Rebecca. I'm an editor-in-chief of Sugar Gamers. I also work with Ladies of the Round Table, doing podcasts and soon-to-be radio. And I have my own webcomic, Sharon Bex, and I actually personally worked with Michael on MFL, and I hope to work on it again soon when we're up and running. So boy, howdy, did we learn a lot. So you're in good hands here tonight. There's lots of sage advice and hard lessons you don't have to learn if you pay attention.
And I was very honest about what I was trying to do. I let people know I didn't have experience doing this, but it's something I always wanted to do. And it hit a nerve with people that, the passion that I had for it. And they started telling their friends about it, and it was really the word of mouth that kind of got people involved. And a lot of the people that backed my projects is strictly a mobile game. A lot of them at the time didn't even have like an iPhone or an Android. They just backed the project because they wanted to see me succeed with it, which I thought was like really, really cool. And I mean, to this day with the game being done, there's still a lot of people like, oh, you can import this to Linux or this or that so we can play it. And I'm like, yeah, probably not, but I'm like done with it, you know. But so I was not prepared for the amount of work that went into it, but it was worth it. So.
Thank you, Eric. This is Eric. Everybody remember. Best moderator ever. Michael.
Well, okay, so again, you've got like different types of projects you're doing on Kickstarter. So you've got like your smaller independent, lower budget projects, and then you've got like your beasts. Okay, so the beasts are really hard and crazy and insane, and it's an uphill fight. A much better chance with a smaller project. Passion and a personal touch, I think, is hugely important on your Kickstarters. I mean, because it's you, right? People are pulling for you, and your sincerity and how much you care about the project. So, and people will read like a lot of weird shit into things. So you just kind of want to keep things as simple as you can. I mean, really, simplicity for Kickstarter is a key ingredient. So a couple things, maybe a few redundant, but they deserve to be repeated. Gamers on PC, some people have success with mobile. Okay, the majority of people on Kickstarter despise mobile games. So if they're backing your mobile game, it's because it's such a great concept or because they like you so much. But generally, the temperament on Kickstarter, they're much more PC-centric. You know, Steam games, PC RPGs, those all seem to do really well on Kickstarter. The crowd on Kickstarter is a fairly sophisticated gaming crowd. You know, they're totally hardcore gamers, but they're not sophisticated in the sense of the industry and knowing what the costs of building a project are.
And they will troll you. So.
And
Not always, but they do.
you know, and it doesn't matter. You can give them factual statements from the New York Times on, you know, the cost of Madden football, and they'll still kind of think it should be a free-to-play game and it costs, you know, a few $1,000s to build. That's all okay. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is your idea and your sincerity. So another good thing is, obviously, there's a lot of issues right now on Kickstarter with people promising to deliver games and not delivering them. And in fact, there has not been one console game that anybody can go to Toys R Us today and get that was funded from Kickstarter. So, like, it's a myth, okay? You can't build a next generation console game for that kind of money. You can do mobile, you can do PC, you can do smaller type games, but console games cost $30 million. So you have to kind of, you know, be real. And the last thing you want to do, so the reason I charged what I charged was because I had like top talent working on the project, and I thought my budget was like so tight. I mean, I was like scraping to get by on 750K, so under $1 million. I'm used to working with $20, $30 million budgets on console games. And plus I got guys like Simon Bisley, Dave DeVries, Dave Elliott, the guys at Robomoto, like we're gonna do the art. I have like a lot of talent that is expensive. Now these guys helped to do like the Kickstarter video and they created me art. But once we get rolling in production, I mean, Simon Bisley's not working for free. So you have to be very kind of smart and wise as you're planning it, which I actually was not. And you want to keep things super simple, and you want to just have the minimum requirements you need to be successful. And if you think bringing in big names like a Simon Bisley or a Dave Elliott or Jay Lender who writes for SpongeBob, like if you think you're going to get all these backers from them, like it doesn't. It didn't really help me, and furthermore, the people really didn't care. What the people cared about was this game going to be done, and you know, where's the demo? That's point two. Like you have to show something. I totally agree with Ryan. You got to do a vertical slice. It has to be clear, and you have to like look at it and know exactly what's going on. The game that we're just showing, what's your,
Craig.
with the ammo, with the health, right?
Oh,
That's your, okay, so that is like a great demo. I was watching that, and after watching it for a couple seconds, I know exactly how that game plays. And it looks good, and it looks fun, and sure, why not put, you know, $10 down to help that game? The one other thing, and you guys are in school, but if you're doing this, it's critical. Don't chase press. So it's hard if you don't have a name or anything to try and get press, right? So with Mutant Football League, I got a ton of press. Game Informer gave us a double-page spread. The guys love the concept Mutant League, so you get press. But I know a lot of people who have done Kickstarters, and they chase press. And what you have to do is you have to make your calls and get your press contacts before you launch your Kickstarter. and put an embargo. Like if somebody gives you an interview, you actually put embargoes on all those interviews so they time out once you release your Kickstarter. It's really, really important to not chase press because you're so busy with the updates that you just, like your head explodes. And some people are lucky, they have like 3 people helping them. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of help. And it's like impossible. And then the update thing, before you do it, plan out 30 days of updates. Just do it. And then out of those 30 days, you'll probably have 20, which end up being really good that you can use. And then the other 10% are new just based on developments. You get this podcast or something cool has happened. So, all right, I'll shut up.
No, Michael was birthday interviews. We were working together and I barely saw him.
Could I add something to?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I agree you want to make your press contacts beforehand. I wouldn't use the term embargo because that's something that the press associates with larger companies, people working with publishers. They don't like that kind of stuff coming from small indie
At least not from
developers.
us. We're not allowed to use that word.
I mean, I'm sure some of you at least have heard about the recent shitstorm with Double Fine embargoing reviews and coverage of Broken Age among their backers. When the press heard about that, they were like, they don't like it.
Gamer press is fickle, which
Yes.
is very
Well,
true.
you know, when you're doing an interview and you're timing it, I mean, the Double Fine is not in my realm of world. We're talking about, hey, we got this project, it's launching on this date. Can you guys run, you know, the stuff in Joystick or whatever media guy you're talking to on somewhere between this date and this date?
Yes, no, that's not a
But
bad
they
idea.
technically call that an embargo.
Yes.
We should. That's like a naughty word, though.
Well, we
Yeah,
should change that
specific
right
word.
Yeah,
now.
just don't actually
Find a better
use
way
the
to
word
phrase
embargo
it.
is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
that's mostly what.
If they
Don't
hear you
use
use the
any
word
word.
embargo, they're going to be like, what is this crap? You're an indie developer.
Yeah. You ain't shit.
You will get there.
Just to add on real quick, one other thing I like to tell everybody who runs a Kickstarter is that you will spend at a bare minimum 1 person full-time 2 months of work, at a minimum. So if you are scheduling your game and you're like, oh, we can finish this in 3 months, well, assume that 1 person is going to be just like completely swamped with all the things that they don't know are coming, like all the emails and the updates and getting it prepared for a month in advance, you know, getting the videos just right, figuring out how to order all the products before and after when you actually have to buy them. That person's not on your team anymore. He's off in PR land, whatever you want to call Kickstarter. And another thing I do want to point out, Mike was saying, like, keep it very simple. I think that is a very good idea. A lot of problems I see with Kickstarters is that, like, what's that first book in Lord of the Rings that just explains everything?
Silmarillion.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
Silmarillion.
that was
Like, a
rough
lot of
for me.
people, their Kickstarters are like reading the Silmarillion first, where it's like, oh man, and so there's this like magical land, and they explain everything about the elves, and like, I don't fucking care. How many elves stab orcs in their face? That's what you tell your friend.
So Ryan's basically describing our Kickstarter right now. So that's why I'm going to interject. Is that basically our Kickstarter was a Silmarillion, and the reason we did that and the way we went wrong is that we had this like core nugget of an idea, which was that okay, people want to create their own superhero, right? Create their own like kit bash abilities together and choose from this massive list of 100 abilities and you know, put whatever costume on that they want and then interact with each other in cool ways in multiplayer, right? And if we had literally just that run-on sentence that I had just said, if we had literally just copy-pasted that into Kickstarter, we would have gotten a more clear like conveyance of our idea to the people who were backing us, right? And instead, we were like, instead of having this core idea that we were trying to convey to people, we were like, okay, let's wrap it in terms of a game for Kickstarter. It was almost like we have to do a Kickstarter. Here's an idea. Let's make that idea fit into Kickstarter world, as opposed to, and we just did a horrible job at that. So really, what I would say is really just focus on 2 things. Just focus right on your idea. If don't add stuff to it because you think people will want it in Kickstarter. Or care, right? Don't add stuff to your idea because you think like people will only kickstart me if I make this an open world, or people will only kickstart me if I add this, you know, this promise of cool music or whatever, right? Just focus on your idea. And second, if you're focusing on your idea and you're like, man, I really need to add something to it because people aren't going to kickstart it. it's probably not ready to be Kickstarter, right? Like, not every idea is right for Kickstarter. Not every idea, like, sometimes you need to take your idea and you just need to prototype it, and it's not really worth going to the public because the public will just not get it, and you may not even really get it. You might not have gotten to the point where you understand what it is that you're trying to make yet. And if you're at that point and you're kind of questioning what it is that you want, you really shouldn't be going to other people and telling them, you know, and showing them that, because people aren't stupid. They'll see through it. They'll sense that you're kind of aimless and you're promising the world, and it doesn't really make any sense. And you see that in our Kickstarter comments where some people were like, oh cool, so I'm going to have a full campaign storyline, and another person was like, oh, I'm going to have this PvP multiplayer, another person was like, is this going to be an MMO, and another person was like, this is going to be a sandbox open world game, and it's like, clearly these people did not get the concept that we were giving them, because otherwise they wouldn't all have these massively different ideas of what the game was that we promised, right? So.
We, for like Max Gentleman, like no one even knows what our game was, and that was by design. We show like 3 seconds of footage. It's like, it's a hack stacking game with gentlemen. Ah, it's a funny game. Look at me, I'm waving my arms. Everyone's laughing at me, making weird noises. And then I was like, punching you backwards. Yeah, and like it was a lot of hand waving and like funny jokes, and then like it was almost like a parody of Kickstarters.
You guys are like, we don't even need your money.
Right? And so like
that's what you said in the video.
And that's the funny thing is no one even knows what the game was, and we were still able to get money out of people because they were like, I like you, have money.
Right, that conveys a vision. That like conveys a vision so much better.
That does not work for everyone.
Right. So
Refine that
here.
for
So
sure.
my video,
Yes.
which we thought was
I thought it was
actually
hysterical.
quite smart, and it was intentionally cheesy. I mean, that was the idea because of the type of game we were making. And I have a lot of friends in the video game industry and a lot of guys that make videos, and they all helped me. And Jay Lender, the guy from SpongeBob, helped write the script, and it was completely wacky and nuts, and he's like, stupid works. Stupid always works.
Right.
So we did this Kickstarter video, and you know, I thought I came across sincere in the video, but we had the talking head and we kind of made fun of ourselves, and we just had like this outrageous video. And what it turned out was 50% of the people that saw it thought it was like the best Kickstarter video ever. They loved it, and like the press loved it. But that's 50%. The other 50% like hated it.
They took a dump on it.
And they thought that we weren't taking it seriously. And they thought the presentation was devoid of sincerity. And these are Mutant League fans. These aren't like, you know, guys that have never heard about the project. And that type of divisiveness from your video, it's like slitting your own throat. I thought we were doing something really kind of funny and smart, and like people were gonna get it, and it didn't work out that way. So when we relaunch on Kickstarter, we will relaunch. My next video, it's just gonna be very humble, and it's gonna have some passion
So no
coming
bathtub
through.
scene?
And it's gonna mostly show gameplay. And this is the product, and we're back, and we made some mistakes. But here it is, you know, and back us. And I'm not going to do much with the Kickstarter video. So what happened was a lot of people thought we spent a lot of money on that video. And they were going, well, if you spend all this money and if you have all this like talent, why do you need our help? You don't need our help. You guys have money, just build the game yourself. And, you know, there was backlash with it. And, you know, Kickstarter's about the small guy trying to achieve his dream. And whether people actually play your products or don't, you know, it's about people giving some money just like they would to somebody at a red light who's, you know, asking for money, but here you go achieve your dream. And most of the people that are backing care about you because you come through in the video and like what you're doing. Yeah, it kind of makes sense to them. They like it. It's cool. So it's really important to kind of be really humble and remember what it's about. And it's about, you know, helping a hungry, passionate artist achieve a dream.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to cut you guys off because we should move if that's okay. Thank you all for opening up wounds about your first time. I think we should give everyone an applause for that.